Okay, well, it is that time of year where it is NFL free agency time. So I'm going to come on here about an hour, maybe longer if things all work out. But I'm going to talk about some of the moves that are going on. First, I'm going to share it on Twitter because I already copied the link. I'm going to share it on Twitter, let everyone know that I'm live. So I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss most of the moves that are going on free agency so far, give my thoughts. I'm not going to talk about every single move, but I'm going to talk about the main moves that are going on. Give my thoughts on them real quickly. And then I'm going to give my thoughts on some projected rumors that are going on. So it's been a bit of a loaded week. I mean, there's been some moves that have been going on that I haven't talked about that have been such as the Amari Cooper trade. So I'm going to discuss them a little bit. And I do have my browser up. I got NFL.com and Twitter on my main browser. So if you leave a comment and drop a comment in the chat and I don't see it right away, don't get offended. I'm not ignoring you. It's just that I'm looking at, NFL.com. I'm looking at Twitter to see what's going on right there. So I can keep track of all the things that are going on. But let's get right into it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Okay, but first up, before that, anyone wondering, this is classic Brian Dawkins jersey. You get a look back there. B-Doc, right. Got this jersey out a week ago. First time officially wearing it. But all right, let's get right to it. So I talked about it yesterday in my video. I talked about Hassan Reddick coming to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm definitely happy about that signing because we got Hassan Reddick for 3 years, $45 million, at least $30 million guaranteed. Like I said yesterday, I'm going to reiterate briefly. We got ourselves a pass rusher and a run stopper, which is good, which is definitely needed on this defense. That's a big upgrade right there. And while on the subject of that, I'm going to put a poll in the comment. Speaking of linebackers, so you probably know what I'm going to ask. Because you know the news that Miles Jack has been let go by the Jaguars. So I'm going to put that in the comment. I put that in there in the poll, asking, should the Philadelphia Eagles sign Miles Jack? You guys can let me try to put in the poll. It's not going. If I put that poll up there, hopefully you should see it. There it is. So there's the poll right there. Should the Philadelphia Eagles sign Miles Jack? You guys can vote. Let me know what you think right there. But yeah, so that's going to be, but yeah, we got that. We got Hassan Reddick. That's a good one. Yesterday, we also re-signed Greg Ward Jr. for a year, which, I mean, that first year, remember 2019, he had a spark. I mean, past couple of years, he's felt like a non-factor these past couple of years. So I'm wondering, they brought him back. Then why are they bringing him? Kind of wonder why they're bringing him back if they feel like a non-factor. And I already got a vote right there in the poll. Someone who doesn't think they should bring in Miles Jack. I mean, I myself, considering the way the Eagles have been signing guys these past couple off seasons, and a lot of them only end up being there 1 year and don't really pan out, I don't think it's a good idea to keep going down that track. I mean, obviously, we got mixed results with all this free agency signing. Obviously, guys like Javon Hargrave, Darius Slay that we signed in past years have worked out for us. Alshon Jeffrey, he worked out for us at first, but in the long term didn't pan out. Firstly, that Super Bowl run, he was a key contributor. That second year, he was still solid, but those final 2 years, he didn't contribute. But we've had Deshaun Jackson try to bring him back, but he couldn't stay healthy, and that was the big reason things weren't pan out there. But unfortunately, but we've had mixed results for agent signing. So we still got to invest. Kind of got mixed feelings about free agent. Because, like some guys, I think it's good. But okay, now we got some more. We got 50-50 right there on Miles Jack. But I know, let's get to it. So we got that. We re-signed Jason Kelce for 1 year, which is a plus. So those are some of the moves we made so far. We didn't make anything. We didn't do anything big yesterday, which I was disappointed with. Because we made the Hassan Reddick signing on Monday, which is good. But we didn't really do anything yesterday. But obviously, this isn't just going to be, Polo Sports Talk and Entertain. Thank you for coming in. As you said, offensive pieces are the best focus, not defense for Philly. Well, it's that way now in football in general. It's a much more offensive-friendly league. So it's definitely, just in general, a key focus in today's football game. So definitely the Eagles got to follow suit and make sure they focus on the offensive side of the ball, especially being this is an offensive-friendly league. That makes sense. I mean, we haven't really done anything. We re-signed Greg Ward, but we haven't done anything spectacular. I mean, we've seen with Right. And like you said, they need to try to build around Hurts, but we haven't gotten anything because so far we've seen, right, we had Christian Kirk signed with the Jaguars. Evan Ingram signed a 1-year deal there, which while we're on that subject, I'm surprised the Jaguars have actually gotten some wide receiver, some guys to catch. I'm surprised they got Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Honestly, I was not expecting the Jaguars to make those moves, but I'm thinking happened there is I'm guessing Christian Kirk felt Jaguars could offer him the most money, and they were able to use that to their advantage to get him to sign to the Jaguars. So I think that played a role there. But yeah, I'll look throughout free agency, all the wide receivers. I mean, of course, we got Amari Cooper. We didn't get him, as we know. He got traded to the Browns, which it would have been a nice steal if we'd gotten Amari. Now, the good thing that comes out of it is we did get him off the Cowboys, and he got traded to a team in the opposite conference, the AFC. So that's good right there. The one good thing that comes out of him not going to the Philadelphia Eagles. And speaking of the Cowboys, we know Randy Gregory went to the Denver Broncos, which again, it's getting, Cowboys lost a key player for now, but it's someone who's going to a team in the AFC. And like I said, too, I'm going to be talking about free agency in the NFL as a whole. So I'm going to be talking about the Eagles as well as the other teams, too. So keep that in mind, everyone watching. This is about NFL free agency as a whole. But as I was saying with Randy Gregory, that's a good pickup for the Broncos, though, because they're bringing in a talented guy on the defensive line. And also, Sunshine Lawrence is good at downfield accuracy. Oh, you're talking about Trevor Lawrence, that is. Oh, right. So they're trying to bring in some wide receiver. But hey, you know what? Well, actually, that works out for us anyway, even if whatever with Randy Gregory, because that means we don't have to worry about him on the Cowboys anymore. So that actually helps us there. So that's a plus right there, regardless of why you want it out or not. But it's definitely a good pickup for the Broncos because now they already got Russell Wilson. They have a solid wide receiver core, and they have a pretty solid defense. Last year is one of their better components, better areas of their team. So now they're bringing in a guy in the defensive line who could help out potentially. And obviously we know about the Russell Wilson, speaking of the Broncos, the Russell Wilson trade. I do feel both teams are potential winners out of it because the Seahawks got some help out of it. They got a few extra draft picks they could potentially use to their advantage. They got Noah Fant out of it. They got a little bit of help. Yeah. The defense. I mean, I don't think it's going to pan out for the Seahawks right away, but it is one of those situations where I think it could definitely help the Seahawks long-term if they use those draft picks properly. So I could see them being a potential winner. And obviously the Broncos, they didn't have a terrible season last year, but they didn't have a good year either. Now they get a significant upgrade at quarterback. So they could become contenders out of this. Similar to when they signed Peyton Manning back in 2012, all of a sudden they became contenders with that one move. Could be something similar in this trade, but we'll see how it pans out. So there is the potential for both teams to be winners out of this, possibly the Broncos in the short term and the Seahawks down the line. So that's an interesting one. And obviously, we all know, speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz, the disappointment, he got traded from the Indianapolis Colts to the Washington Commies. I mean, I came on here and did a video last week where all I did was just laugh at it for basically 2 minutes. But now I'm going to give my thoughts on it a little bit more while I'm still on here live. Okay. So obviously, Washington. I mean, it always helps to have a division rival run by an incompetent owner who just doesn't get it. It's always beneficial to us to have that as our division rivals. Washington. I mean, they don't get it with trying to develop a quarterback. They don't. You know what I think it is too? They're afraid to draft a quarterback because they failed in the past. They failed with RG3, so they're a bit afraid there. And they tried with Dwayne Haskins, but obviously that failed, mainly due to Dwayne Haskins' decision-making. So I think they're afraid to really go and draft the quarterback. I mean, look throughout the entire 21st century, a majority of the time, they try to trade for a quarterback or sign someone else's quarterback. I mean, this has been, you got Mark Brunell, Donovan McNabb, Alex Smith, and now Carson Wentz. Oh, not to mention they tried with Case Keenum. They tried to do a competition between him and Dwayne Haskins, remember, back in 2019. Well, right, Cousins was drafted. Remember, Cousins was drafted by them, though initially he was a later draft pick. But I'm mainly talking in this case about And you're right, Cousins did. I mean, yeah, technically he did fail. He was solid at best, but he only got them so far. So that was a fail too. Hold on, looks like the chat is temporary disconnect. It'll come back though, so I wouldn't worry about the chat though. It'll come back in a minute. But as I was saying, yeah, but Kirk Cousins, well, he failed too, along with RG3 and Dwayne Haskins. Now he was the best of the three, but yeah, he did fail. But yeah, all these different quarterbacks Washington has tried because I think they're afraid to really draft a quarterback. I mean, they've only drafted a couple times and failed, but I think it's that past failures of RG3 and then Dwayne Haskins makes them afraid to go out and draft a quarterback when really that's what they need. But actually, that's great for us as Eagles fans because that means our division rival stays stuck in its old bad habits, which means, which means they're not really going to improve, which increases our chances of running through our division. So that helps out right there. I mean, in recent years, the biggest competitor to us in the NFC East is the Cowboys. Because at least with Jerry Jones and bad coaching, they at least have good talent. The Cowboys do have an eye for talent, but the Giants in Washington, always something goes wrong. Even with Washington, even when they do get their hands on talent, it's always something goes wrong. Always someone who has off the field issues, or someone who can't stay healthy, or someone who's in their later stages past their best years. It's always something with them when they do get their hands on talent. But that's great for the Eagles right there. I mean, you're talking about Carson Wentz, and he went from the Indianapolis Colts, the team that had the most Pro Bowlers of anyone in the NFL last season, was the Indianapolis Colts. They had one of the best all-around rosters around them, but one of the big things that failed them was Carson Wentz at quarterback. I mean, who did they lose to in the playoffs again? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. They didn't make the playoffs. Trying to get are you talking about the Eagles? Are you talking about the Eagles trying to get AB? Oh, God, no. I mean, Antonio Brown, are you talking about? I know I've heard that the Cowboys might be trying to get him. I think that might be what you're referring to. It wouldn't be out of Jerry Jones. It wouldn't be out of Jerry Jones' character to do that. I mean, he has tried. Again, I know, right? You talk about the Shaun Watson. I'll get to that. There's a lot I know Watson's having a lot of different meetings right now. He's meeting with the Falcons, the Browns. I know he's talking about all these different teams, which I'll get to Deshaun Watson in a little bit because there's a lot to talk about here in this free agency. But as I was saying, yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz now to the Washington Commies. So right now I'm looking at NFL.com. I'm going to refresh my screen, see if anything is going on real quick. Anything new, but also while we're still at it, talking about other moves. Yeah, Jordan Hicks signed with the Minnesota Vikings, which I'm great. That's a nice pickup for them because the past couple of years, Jordan Hicks has had some really good seasons with the Cardinals. I mean, because even now, and with the Cardinals, he's been playing whole seasons there, and he's been playing pretty good with them. So that's actually a good sign for the Vikings right there. And you know what? I wouldn't mind having Jordan Hicks back, but obviously that ship has sailed. But you know what? Good for Jordan Hicks that he got another deal. So I'll give him that. So it was a solid move by the Vikings right there. They still have a bunch of other flaws. But now, speaking of players, we got Mitchell Trubisky to the Steelers. I saw that. I think Mitchell Trubisky, I know the Steelers have a better all-around system around them than the Bears do. So some people think Trubisky might come in and play better than he did in Chicago, maybe. But even then, Mitchell Trubisky's not the real answer to a future Hall of Fame quarterback. He's not the real successor to him. He might come in and play better than he played at Chicago. Might. But then again, Mitchell Trubisky's not the type of guy you're going to replace a Hall of Fame quarterback with. To me, he's a good backup quarterback at best. It's just what I've seen from Mitchell Trubisky throughout his career. A solid backup quarterback, but I don't think he's the real deal as a starter. It is possible that, I know they've also brought back Dwayne Haskins too. And obviously, I know obviously the Steelers, they're probably trying to build around their defense and their run game, which Najee Harris had a solid rookie season, but I don't know if that approach is. I think that approach is a little bit dated, that whole trying to focus around the defense in the run game. I mean, because recent history shows in order to win a Super Bowl, you got to either draft your quarterback or trade for someone else's quarterback. Because the majority of the quarterbacks have started in Super Bowls over the past like 15, 20 years have been drafted either by the team they played for in the Super Bowl or were drafted by somebody else. I mean, I don't think Mitchell Trubisky's that dude. I mean, sometimes you could pull off certain trades for quarterbacks, but I just don't see that being for the Steelers for competing for a championship in the coming years. Just not that move right there. But what else is going on that I wanted to talk about? Let's see. Of course, you got the Jaguars. Like I said, they got a few weapons, and I'm surprised they did. But hey, they did something. They might be turned. Also, yeah, the Dolphins, Chase Edmonds to the Dolphins. That's a pretty good pickup to add a little bit of a spark to their run game. It's a pretty good move right there for the Dolphins. And they signed Teddy Bridgewater to a one-year deal, which is a shame because you know what? Bridgewater, he had that really good season 2015. It looked like he was going to be a future star, but that injury in the 2016 preseason changed his career forever. It's a shame Bridgewater's gotten to the point now where he's just basically a one-year rental for teams. The Cowboys build around Parsons and Dix. Well, they're definitely going to build their defense around those guys, definitely. Right, and the Steelers need a reliable QB. Yeah, they definitely do. And like I said, I don't see Mitchell Trubisky being that guy. I don't mean that as any disrespect to him, but it's just based off what I've seen, I don't see him being that guy. I mean, I see him as a solid backup option, but not a reliable starter at the NFL level. That's just my take from what I've seen. And what else is good? Let's see. And also, the Jets actually made a few decent moves right here. Now, think about it. I mean, you got the Jets actually. They got Tevin Coleman. And who else? Who did they get from the Raiders again? Who was it? Got the receiver from the Raiders. What did they get from the Raiders again? But they even got, who else they get? They got C.J. Uzomah from the Bengals. I mean, they got Laken Tomlinson in the offensive line. And they've made a few decent moves right here, actually. I mean, so I give them the Jets, they're at least trying. I mean, they're at least trying to get better for the future. I give them that. I don't know if it's going to work out, but he's at least trying at this point. I also saw Bridgewater should retire, too many concussions. Yeah, all the injuries it's the injuries that were the downfall for Teddy Bridgewater's career to getting where he's at now. At this point, he's pretty much a backup, just taking one-year deals, just trying to get paid while he still can, is what I see. In Bridgewater, even if it's as a backup, he's just taking deals to get paid at this point for as long as he can before he finally has to retire. It's a shame, but it is the reality of it. Injuries do play a factor in how people's careers turn out. That's just the way it is. Fair or not, that's just the way it is. In Bridgewater, he's been plagued by it, and that's why he's stuck going from team to team. And well, speaking of the AFC inside, get Marcus Williams going to the Ravens. That was a big one right there. And that was. So I got that. That is a good signing right there. I mean, obviously the Ravens are off an injury-plagued season where they collapsed after a hot start. I mean, if Marcus Williams can stay healthy, he can definitely help their secondary, though. So that could definitely turn out to be a good sign right there. That has potential to work out. But obviously the Ravens still have holes in their team, such as the ability to stay healthy. And Lamar Jackson, look, as spectacular as Lamar Jackson is, some of his decision-making, throwing over the past couple of years since that MVP season has you wondering if it's going to be kind of a Flacco-ish similar situation a few years from now where he's a respected quarterback, but is he really the guy that's going to get you to the promised land? Because, that's what ended up happening with Flacco after that Super Bowl run where he got that massive contract. After a few years, it started to go downhill, and then it's like, they don't know what to do. I mean, and the Ravens do need receivers too, yes. But yes, that would definitely help, though. At the same time, some of Jackson's throws, you've kind of wondered, what was he thinking when he threw that one? So even yes, receivers could definitely help. But obviously the Ravens, they're a team that needs to retool a little bit too. I mean, they got Marquise Brown as a solid option, but he does make a lot of mistakes, a lot of easy drops. I mean, Mark Andrews is the top, one of the top tight ends, so they have that option there, but they do need to get a little bit of help right there too. And they need to be able to stay healthy too. So the Ravens definitely they're a team that needs some improvement going forward after the embarrassing season they had last year. And the Bengals, I see the Bengals re-signed a lot of guys, re-signed some guys on the D line, and they signed a few offensive linemen, which they definitely need that though, because they got to keep Joe Burrow protected, because we all know he had the injuries rookie year. Even in the Super Bowl, he went down for a bit. So I give the Bengals credit. They're fresh off a Super Bowl run. They're trying to improve on the offensive line. So, they can definitely be back. The Bengals have the potential to be back in the mix as contenders, barring a bunch of injuries or regression from Joe Burrow, which that second part's unlikely to happen. But yeah, they have the potential to be back in the mix. Yeah, it's in. So far, I know the Browns, Jets have been the most. The Texans technically have been the most active because I have my NFL.com page up, and they're signing a bunch of guys. But first off, I know they're re-signing a lot of guys, but with considering how they played last season, that's not really saying a whole lot. They're trying to bring in some guys on the O-line, but that organization's a train wreck. Ever since Bill O'Brien took over that front office, he just sent them in a continuing downward spiral. Yep, I remember Lamar Jackson. Yep, he was the MVP back in 2019. Yep, the past couple years, he still played good at times, but he has struggled with injuries, and it makes you wonder where they're going to be a few years from now. That's what it is. Obviously, he's still one of the most electric players in the league. Still has a lot of upside, but it does make you wonder with the injuries where they're going to be with him a few years from now. But there's still plenty of upside with Lamar Jackson, though. There still is, but we'll have to see how that one pans out. Yeah, what the truth is with the Texans, they're just setting up Lovie Smith to fail, I think. They're putting him in the same situation they put David Culley in. They don't have much to work with. Ever since Bill O'Brien got rid of some of their main guys, it's been a complete train wreck from there. And it's obvious why Shaun Watson wants out and why teams like the Panthers, Saints, now the Browns and Falcons are trying to talk with him, and why we could be talking about Shaun Watson being elsewhere a few days from now. Yeah, but that team, there's not much to talk about the Houston Texans. It's not really going to work out that well. Although the Colts, they re-signed some guys. They re-signed Mo Alley Cox. Matt Pryor, as of now, is expected to re-sign. They re-signed Zaire Franklin at the linebacker, defensive end, Taquan Lewis, and they agreed to a one-year deal with Brandon Facyson. Oh, yeah, who was? No, actually, Zay Jones it was who signed with. That's who it was. It was Zay Jones was the one who signed with the Jaguars. I was confusing Zay Jones. I was thinking Zay Jones to the Jets for a minute, but yeah, it was actually the Jaguars. That's another good one for the Jaguars, too. I almost forgot. Zay Jones. So that was another good one right there for the Jaguars. So they're actually trying to build a wide receiver and they might have a shot at they're definitely being better than last season. But yeah, so I think the Jaguars, I give them credit. They're actually making moves here. I give them that. What else do we? In the Titans, what the Titans really need, though, the Tennessee Titans is a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill's a decent stat guy, but they really need a true elite quarterback to get them to that next level. They already got Derrick Henry there. But they already got Julio Jones. They got some solid pieces on defense. But what they really need is that quarterback that'll help take them to the promised land. That's the one thing that's holding the Titans back. And that's why we look back on, I think, Ryan Tannehill move was a mistake. I know they were off that AFC Championship run when they got him, but back on now, that was a mistake. But I don't really think the Titans are, unless they trade up to get a quarterback in the draft, which they might, they're kind of still they're stuck where they're at right now. What else happened? Oh, yeah, I know Carl Nassib got released by the Raiders. which I wasn't expecting that, but they did do that. And maybe, I mean, he'll probably get picked up by somebody. But yeah. And oh, yeah. What else? There's one. Oh, yeah. There's one trade I was missing. One big trade I was missing. That's right. Okay. Khalil Mack trade to the Chargers, to the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think, look, the Bears obviously were in a room they need to cut some cap. They need to cut some cap space, and obviously they're in full rebuild mode. The Bears are at this point. And with Khalil Mack, look, his first 2 years he came in, he really helped that defense out. That first year they had that run to the playoffs where we beat them off the double doink. Khalil Mack was a contributing factor. In that second year, he was one of the reasons they still stayed competitive when they went 8-8 in that 2019 season. These past couple of years, he's missed some games and his production has dropped. So I get why the Bears moved on from him. And for the Chargers, I guess they feel like it still salvage something with him, and they know they're a solid team. They know they just may need a little bit more depth to improve. Also, they can improve some of their decisions they make, to particularly coaching. But I mean, I think for the Bears, I don't think it's actually that bad a move for the Bears, actually, because they're in rebuild mode. They might as well just get rid of them and try to get something in return for it. And let's see, what else do we got? I mean, I've talked about most of the main moves that have happened thus far right now. Like I said, I'm not going to go through every single thing. Oh, yeah, except to acknowledge Aaron Rodgers signed the extension. Devontae Adams received the franchise tag for the Packers. I mean, those are most of the main moves that have gone on right now. Of course, Tom Brady. Oh, wait, there is. Oh, yeah. Got Russell Gage expected to sign with Tampa Bay from the Falcons. That could definitely be a help at wide receiver. Obviously, they need some more depth there. I mean, I think I talked about most of the main moves that are going on right now, though. So that's right there. That's most of the main ones right there. But obviously, they still got some more time left. So I'm going to talk about some of the other possible moves. Let me check to see if anything's going on right now. Okay, so Deshaun Watson, as we know, he was cleared of all charges. They couldn't find enough evidence to charge him with any of the sexual assault and sexual harassment allegations. So obviously, he's free to fish now. I mean, I know some people are still trying to stubbornly cling on to the idea that he's going to go to the Eagles, which, I mean, I see it on Twitter. I still see people making videos, people suggesting that they could still be front runners. I'm like, they just don't. I think, look, with all due respect to the Eagles fan base, but some of y'all got to just let it go. At this point, don't you clearly see that other teams that really desperately need a quarterback, like the Panthers and specifically the Saints, are going to be more likely to get him? I know even the Browns are interested in talking with him, which goes to show you that Baker Mayfield really isn't that dude. I mean, if Baker Mayfield was really that dude, first of all, the Browns would have had a better season last year and they would have made the playoffs. And the fact that they're even considering Deshaun Watson, which I don't think Deshaun Watson will go to the Cleveland Browns, but the fact that they're even considering it goes to show you that they don't really have faith that Baker Mayfield's going to be the answer, that they're even considering it. So you got there. I know the Falcons are considering it because they know Matt Ryan's is in the twilight years of his career. So they're hoping that they can find a way to make a steal for Watson and get a young QB. And they're hoping that Shaun Watson can continue right where he left off on the field. So those are the main four teams that are interested right now. But you know what? Okay, yeah, but Deshaun Watson, I definitely think the Eagles. Look, I definitely think that's got to stop right now. I mean, clearly the Eagles have shown that they want to bring back Jalen Hurts. I think people need to stop with the rumors and I mean, most of it's just all talk anyway. So I'm not going to buy it, even though it technically contradicts what I'm doing right now, which is talking about sports free agent signs. And I kind of went from going through the main signs, giving my overviews, what I think is good right now. I think the Colts made a few good moves trying to bring back some of their guys. I think the Jaguars and Jets actually impressed right there. They're actually trying to build up their offenses. And I think, yeah, so I definitely do think they've benefited so far. But again, now, but as I was saying, but the point being, even though I'm on here talking about this, giving my opinion, I mean, my opinion is simple. They're not bringing in Deshaun Watson. The Eagles aren't. we can just forget about that one right now. And I'm really hoping Shaun Watson gets signed by someone just so it stops. Just so that everyone in the fan base gets it and realizes, okay, yeah, they're not bringing back Deshaun Watson. Or they're not bringing in Deshaun Watson. Yeah, he's not coming to the Eagles. I just really hope it happens soon just to get it over with. It would be really nice right now if I could see that while I'm moving the stream, if it breaks, that he signed with someone. No, like now we got on Twitter right now. On Twitter, got Miles Jacks trending. It just so far, just a lot of people. There's pushes for him to go to the Eagles. There's even some people pushing. Oh yeah, and we also but yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. So for Deshaun Watson, I'm thinking most likely either the Panthers or Saints will probably land him. That's what I'm thinking most likely is going to be the case with Deshaun Watson. Now, obviously, the Panthers, this would be a significant upgrade from bringing back, get past his prime Cam Newton and Sam Darnold. They pull this off. Even the Saints, obviously, I mean, even with all the injuries and all the crap they had to deal with last year, they still made it to 9 wins, which is not easy. So the Saints, I mean, they're still off a solid season last year, but they also did obviously lose Marcus Williams to the Ravens, which I talked about. That's a big loss for their secondary right there. I mean, maybe the Saints might still make a move in free agency, try to find a replacement piece, or maybe they might find a good replacement piece in the draft for their secondary. But definitely, I think the Saints could be an ideal fit because they're still off a 9-win season with a bunch of injuries. So the Saints could be a good fit for Deshaun Watson too. I'm thinking those are most likely the two teams. Probably now I think about it, I think most likely he would probably go to the Saints, Deshaun Watson. That's my opinion, my prediction. Thinking most likely the New Orleans Saints. If not the New Orleans Saints, the Carolina Panthers is what I'm thinking is going to happen with Deshaun Watson. But we still got some other guys to talk about. We're still on here. I'm going to go about another half hour or so. So who else do I think? So also we got Allen Robinson. I mean, Allen Robinson's still out there. I mean, I haven't really heard a whole lot about him. What going on? I mean, I know he's still on the market. I mean, could the Eagles get him? Possibly, but I just don't know if they're going to. I mean, but the Eagles, they got to do something else. I mean, look, Hassan Reddick was a good one, but they also got to make another move. They got to get somebody, either a wide receiver or something. I mean, re-signing Jason Kelce's nice, and Greg Ward Jr. for another year. Considering he's been a non-factor these past couple years, I just wonder what's going to make this year so much different with him on the roster. So I kind of wonder, like, if he's been a non-factor the past couple years, why are we re-signing him? Kind of the way I'm looking at it. I just don't know if that's going to really work, how well that's going to work out right there. But they got to do something. Maybe Allen Robinson, maybe the Eagles could have a chance at getting him. I mean, I think Juju's still on the market, but I don't really think anyone's going to want him because he's too much of a TikTok guy, and seems like he's more focused on that than he is actually playing at wide receiver. So that could definitely has hurt his stock in free agency. But I don't think the Eagles should go for him because we saw his antics the past couple years with the Steelers. He was focused more on TikTok. He's starting to turn more into a diva than he is a star wide receiver. So I don't think the Eagles should go for Juju Smith-Schuster. If they can get Allen Robinson, that would be nice. Obviously, we lost out on Christian Kirk, lost out on Zay Williams. We also lost out on Amari Cooper. I guess Allen Robinson's their last chance to really land a good wide receiver. I mean, I know there's also another one who's on the mix, Tyron Matthews from the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he's testing the waters in free agency. I mean, I don't know if the Eagles are going to if the Eagles can get him, they might as well just bring back Steven Nelson at this point. They can't get him. Or if they feel like they can get Tyron Matthews, they might let Steven Nelson walk, go elsewhere so they can get some room for him. But that could be Tyron Matthews. That sounds like it could be a good signing on paper, though. I mean, it's probably something that could work, probably be like a Darius Slay type of thing where he could come in. That's if the Eagles could get him, but I don't know if they're going to get him. But we'll have to see. I mean, I haven't really seen what the talks are with. I mean, I know Allen Robinson, the Patriots, and the Browns are suggestions right now. Let's see, like and that's at least what's going around on Twitter, but I don't know if that's actually going to be the case or not. But yeah, so far those are the two main ones right now. Allen Robinson, Tyron Matthew. Still waiting to see what they happens there. Still waiting to see who gets those guys right there. I'm just gonna let me see. Okay, brought 2 water bottles up here with me so I could stay hydrated. But yeah, those are the main ones right now. Tyron Matthew and Allen Robinson that still haven't been signed, though. I mean, so far, like I said, the Eagles, so far they haven't done a whole lot. They need to definitely figure out something right now. And look, well, Hassan Reddick's nice. They got to get something else. They got to get another wide receiver, or they got to get, an offense, somebody. They got to get somebody on the offensive side. Specifically, wide receiver would be nice if the Eagles could pull off a move to get a receiver. That would definitely help them out in free agency. I mean, the only one really big name left is Allen Robinson. They could get their hands on. I don't know if it's going to happen because right now it looks like the Browns might be more interested. The Patriots might be more interested. I mean, obviously the Patriots, they still have Belichick's their coach. They're fresh off a playoff year. They got young quarterback in Mac Jones, so he might be sold on going to the Patriots. So they might be more likely to get him than OER. Yeah, but so far it's been kind of disappointing for the Eagles thus far, beside that one Hassan Reddick signing. But that's only so far. There's still time left in free agency for the Eagles to make a move. Maybe they could get Allen Robinson. Maybe they find maybe they get a guy in the secondary. Maybe they get a solid number 2 or number 3 receiver somewhere. I don't know if Juju's going to be that guy because he's more of a diva than he is a wide receiver. So that's a concern right there. I mean, but hopefully the Eagles make something happen soon. I mean, if not that, then they got to definitely make some noise in the draft. I mean, I'm thinking the Eagles, if you're going to free agency, maybe try to pull off another move or two at some point. Maybe get a wide receiver. Maybe they get someone in the second, or maybe get someone in the secondary or something. Then start to focus in on the draft is what I think the Eagles should do. But they got to follow up, at least get something else, then start to focus on the draft. I mean, right now we're starting to near toward the end of it. There hasn't really been any transactions that have gone on so far while I've been doing this. So there's not much to really say right now, except go through some of the winners and losers of free agency thus far. Some of the losers thus far, the Washington football team. Obviously, they pulled off the big trade for Carson Wentz. They gave up too much for a guy who's 5 years removed from his MVP season. So that's not a good one right there. And who the past couple years has struggled, referring to Wentz. So that's a fail right there. You also got the Houston Texans. They haven't really been able to pull off anything at all special. They've just been signing a bunch of guys, re-signed a few guys from their roster last year, but based off what they had last year, what do they really got now? And Shaun Watson's out to be on the out sometime soon. So that's a big L for them right there. And the Giants, they haven't done anything spectacular. All they did was sign Tyrod Taylor, who unfortunately, due to injuries, he's in a similar situation as Teddy Bridgewater, as I was talking about earlier with Polo Sport and Talk. So he's in a similar situation there. Giants haven't done anything spectacular. In the Cowboys, and they've lost a few people. They lost Amari Cooper. They lost Randy Gregory, but I wouldn't count the Cowboys out just yet because they did agree to a new deal with DeMarcus Lawrence, re-signed Malik Hooker, and re-signed Michael Gallup. And Dalton Schultz, tight end, got the franchise tag, so I wouldn't count the Cowboys out just yet. So I'm not going to consider them losers. I mean, I consider them winners because they were still able to keep some of their key pieces thus far. Obviously, I think both the Seahawks and Broncos can be potential winners from this. I think the Jets are a potential winner because they're actually trying to bring in a few guys. They're bringing in some solid guys that could help. You guys like Tevin Coleman, Brian Tomlinson from the 49ers, the offensive tackle. his first name. I forget his first name off the top. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they brought him in. I think the Packers to some extent they've won to some extent. Yeah, oh wait, the Buccaneers have obviously won. Rashard Perriman expected to sign Russell Gage, franchise tag Chris Godwin. Tom Brady came out of retirement, so he's still going to be there for that. That's a win right there. Even I think the Cardinals re-signed Zach Ertz. Cardinals have re-signed some of their pieces. That's helpful then, but they still got to make another move or so. So I can't consider the Arizona Cardinals winners just yet because they've re-signed some pieces like Ertz, James Conner, a few pieces on the defense, but they haven't done anything spectacular. Obviously, the Cardinals, they need to make another move or two, but they haven't done that yet, so I can't consider them winners just yet. But yeah, let's see. So far, the winners are obviously the Jaguars. They're starting to bring in some weapons for Trevor Lawrence to throw to and actually trying to give Lawrence a chance to rebound his sophomore year. The Jets actually trying to build up the offense, and it might work out better for them. I think the Broncos and Seahawks, both potential winners right there. So there's some early winners right there and some early losers so far. Houston Texans, they've been trying to re-sign most of their guys from last year. They don't have much to work with now, so that's an L right there. Washington for the Carson Wentz trade's been an L right there. Who else is an L right there? Oh, so far, I think the Eagles. Oh yeah, the Eagles. Yeah, they've kind of had a loss so far. I mean, this is obviously so far, though, because they've only made one move. They've lost down some other potential wide receivers they could have got their hands on. So that's an L right there. I mean, so those are my early thoughts on free agency. Some of the early winners and losers. Obviously, this is still early, so I mean, we've still got time. Some of these teams could still make some moves. And I'll probably come on here next week sometime, make another live stream after more moves have been made, give my thoughts on who I think the true winners and losers were of free agency. But I was just coming on here, giving my thoughts on early free agency and what's going on right there. But yeah, so those are my early winners and losers. And not much else to say, so I'm probably going to end this a little bit. I did say it would be about an hour, getting close to 45 minutes. So that is about an hour as promised. I'm going to give my closing thoughts right now. So in closing thoughts, say, hey, we're going to keep an eye out to see what the Eagles do, if they make any more moves, see what goes on with Shaun Watson, where he ends up, see where Allen Robinson and Tyron Matthews end up, and see what happens with more. Oh, yeah, let's not forget Jarvis Landry. He got released from the Browns, so he might go somewhere. I mean, could the Eagles possibly get him if they're desperate for a receiver? I guess, but I guess they could try, but it's not really like my main go-to option at this point for him. And they might go for it if they're desperate. That's another one we'll keep an eye on. Jarvis Landry. See who else is getting released. Jarvis Landry. But Jarvis Landry, we'll see what happens with him. So we'll keep an eye out to see what goes on right there. Wonder if Jameis Winston's going to get signed by anyone and how that will pan out. But yeah, so those are some guys we're going to keep an eye on to see where they end up going, see what teams do with them. So we'll keep an eye on to see what happens right there. And that's all I'm really going to say for this one right there. So I had fun coming on here to talk about free agency. To everyone that tuned in, thank you for tuning in. To those who voted on my poll, thank you for tuning in. For doing so, I only got 2 votes. But obviously, I got so far mixed reception. So, but thank you for those of you that voted. Thank you for those of you that tuned in. I enjoyed this. Had fun with this. I look forward to doing it again. So I'm going to say is thank you to everyone that watched. Have a wonderful day or night. Nikki Steve signing off. And I'll see you guys next time.